Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. Today's deck is going to focus around the Blaziken EX, which we'd ideally like to have as our main attacker. Now it's actually a pretty impressive Pokemon. Well, it can be once we do get the Flare Storm attack going. So first of all, Fist of Focus is a pretty decent attack. I mean, it only hits for 30 damage, but it does allow us to attach a energy card from our discard pile to this Pokemon, so that can be nice. Can help us speed up the rate of energy attachment to our Blaziken EX and then really get the Flare Storm attack going. Now Flare Storm is of course going to be the attack that we'd like to focus on repeatedly making use of. It allows us to hit for an initial 100 damage, and then we get to flip a coin for each fire energy card attached to the Blaziken EX. For each heads we are able to get, we're able to hit for 20 more damage. So theoretically, if we have a total of 4 fire energy cards attached to the Blaziken EX and then we use the Flare Storm attack, if we manage to flip 4 heads on all of them, we're able to hit for 180 damage. Really wish there wasn't a flip coin requirement, but unfortunately there is. So due to that, I felt like including a total of 2 copies of the Victini with the Victory Star ability really go a long way in this deck, so we are running 2 copies of this Victini. Again, Victory Star will allow us to reflip our coins and hopefully get a bit of a better turnout. So Victini is a nice card to include in this deck. We are running 2 copies of him. Some alternative attackers that we are running. One of them is going to be the Reshiram, just because it's a very bulky 130 HP Pokemon. This is probably going to be our main attacker while we are slowly loading up our Blaziken EX. A bit of a nice damage soak, and again can hit our opponents for quite a bit of damage as well, especially if we decide to make use of that blue flare attack and even the outrage attack from time to time. So we are running 2 copies of the Reshiram in our deck, and the very last Pokemon in our deck is going to be the Pyroar, with the intimidating main ability, preventing all damage done to this Pokemon by any of our opponent's basic Pokemon. So I felt like we've seen a dramatic decline in the number of players really including any sorts of anti-Pyroar measures in their deck. I mean, just because there's so many Mega EX Pokemon, things like that, Pyro really isn't seen all that much, but simultaneously a lot of players are probably a little bit overconfident that they're not going to be encountering a lot of Pyroars. So Pyro can be a nice Pokemon, so I have included him. Not entirely sure whether or not we will be using him. It really depends on the matchup, but nonetheless we are running 3 copies of him in our deck. Now, to really get our Blaziken EX going, we're going to have to repeatedly make use of the Blacksmith Stadium card. I feel like it's the most efficient way that we can get the Blaziken EX going without us really wasting a whole lot of turns. So we are running a total of 2 copies of the Blacksmith. This will allow us to attach 2 fire energy cards from our discard pile onto one of our Pokemon. Ideally, we'd like to get the Blacksmith and some energy cards in our discard pile through the usage of the Battle Compressor card. So we are running 2 copies of the Battle Compressor, and again, its main purpose is just to get some fire energy cards and possibly some Blacksmiths in our discard pile, and then we'd like to repeatedly make use of that VS Seeker to put a discarded Blacksmith from our discard pile back into our hand, and then we can make use of it to load up our Fire-type Pokemon a little bit earlier. So VS Seeker really goes a long way in this deck. We are running a total of 4 copies of it in our deck. Scorched Earth is another nice stadium card as well that will allow us to get some fire energy cards into the discard pile, and then we can hopefully make use of that Blacksmith a little bit more. So we are running a total of 3 copies of the Scorched Earth Stadium card in our deck. Now I felt like those are really the cards that need discussing, so the other cards I'm going to be going through them relatively quickly. We are running the Computer Search as our ace-spec card. Just felt like it was the way to go. A Dowsing Machine would probably work just as well, but in our case we are sticking with Computer Search. We have a total of 3 types of switch cards in our deck. One of them is the Escape Rope, and 2 of them are the switches. We have pretty bulky Pokemon, so I feel like those are some very useful cards to include. A single copy of the Starling Megaphone, just so that we can counter those Garbodors. 3 Ultra Balls will allow us to grab the Pokemon that we need. 2 Colruses, 4 Ents, and 4 Junipers will be used for some draw support. 2 Lysanders to lure out any of our opponent's benched Pokemon. 3 Muscle Bands to increase the total damage output of our Pokemon. And a total of 12 energy cards. 10 of them are Fire Energies, and 2 of them are the Double Colors Energy. So with that, guys, let's go and find ourselves our first opponent. I will have to say that I haven't really tested this deck, so it will probably need a bit of tweaking here and there, but let's see if we can make it work. Again, we have quite a bit of flexibility, I would say, in our deck with respects to the situation. I mean, of course, if we're facing a deck that doesn't run any evolution Pokemon whatsoever, then our Pyro is really going to be the start of our deck. I think we're facing a Primal Groudon EX deck, because I did see some Psychic Pokemon, thinking those are probably going to be a Wobbuffet and the, yeah, so it looks like I was right. So we're seeing the Primal Groudon EX. Our opponent is probably going to start off with the Wobbuffet as their active Pokemon, I'm thinking. So let's go and bring out our Blaziken EX as our active and lay down the Victini onto the bench. Let's go and draw onto an additional card, and it is going to be a Muscle Band. Okay, so we're also seeing Meditite. That is a very unusual. I mean, not a Pokemon that I was expecting to see by any means. So I'm going to go and attach a Muscle Band onto the Blaziken EX. Let's go and use that Ultra Ball, get rid of a Fire Energy card and the N from our hand as well. What would I like to be able to grab into? I don't really think we're going to see our Pyroars a whole lot in this game, so let's go and grab onto another Blaziken EX and lay him down into our bench as well. I'm going to go and attach a Fire Energy card onto our active Blaziken EX, use that N to get some new cards in our hand. Let's go and lay down another Victini. I think a Reshiram would be nice as well to have onto our bench, and with that we are going to go and end the turn. Hopefully we're able to get rid of our opponent's Meditite during the next turn. I'm really hoping he's unable to evolve it into the Medicham. That would be kind of nice. But I feel like we're eventually going to start seeing some Groudon EXs make their appearance into our opponent's bench, and then he's really going to get them loaded up as his active attacker. I don't foresee our opponent using Medicham all that much, but again, I'm not entirely sure. So the opponent is going to use Scorched Earth, the Karina, probably gonna grab either a Groudon EX or the Medicham and finally start attacking with it. But again, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, our opponent definitely does need some sort of bench Pokemon in case he wants to take a risk and the possibility that I could get that one-hit knockout on the opponent's Pokemon during our next turn. So let's see what the opponent decides to do. Looks like it is going to be the Groudon EX. So I'm hoping we're safe from the Medicham this turn, but again, I'm not entirely sure. We're also seeing the Professor's Letter, so the opponent will be able to look for 2 additional Fighting Energy cards. Maybe he has the, the Ultra Ball at hand, which he could use to get rid of those Fighting Energy cards and then make use of an Ultra Ball to look for a Medicham. Again, just taking a bit of a wild guess here. So that Groudon EX, the opponent is of course going to make use of that Scorched Earth Stadium card. Luckily for us, we can also make use of it as well. So our Blaziken EX will definitely be able to get going during our next turn. We're seeing the switch card. Our opponent is going to bring out that Hawlucha, hit us for 60 damage, unless of course we see the Muscle Band, and no, it looks like we're not going to see it. So I'm actually quite thankful that the opponent played the Scorched Earth Stadium card. So let's go and get rid of that Fire Energy card and then draw onto 2 additional cards. Now we have the Blacksmith, 2 Fire Energy cards, so we'll definitely be able to get rid of the opponent's Hawlucha in a single attack. So I'm going to go and use that Blacksmith, look for those 2 Fire Energy cards, latch them onto the Blaziken EX, attach another Fire Energy card as well. It doesn't really matter what we flip, we'll be able to get rid of the opponent's Hawlucha in a single attack regardless. So let's go and use Flare Storm, hit our opponent, my goodness, for 200 damage, and draw onto our first prize card. So that was just a just an amazing flip, just not something that I really expect to get a whole lot. If the opponent does not bring out the Primal Groudon EX, guys, I think I would like to Lysander out his Groudon EX and get rid of it. Okay, so Primal Groudon EX is going to come out, so unfortunately it is going to be immune to any of our cards such as the Lysander. Not really sure if the opponent's Meditite will be able to attack this turn around. We might just see that Hawlucha make its appearance once again. Again, not really sure what the opponent is going to be doing this time around. That Meditite does, however, have the Muscle Band latched onto him, so if he does bring out the Medicham, he would definitely be able to knock out our Blaziken EX in a single attack. Yeah, so we're seeing the Medicham. All the opponent needs is another energy card, and then with the Yoga Kick, it will be able to knock us out. Okay, so it looks like the opponent won't be able to knock out our Blaziken EX during this turn, so I am quite happy about that. Let's go and attach a Fire Energy card onto our own Blaziken EX. I think I'm going to use the N. It could help out our opponent, but I feel like it's better than using the Professor Juniper. We have some pretty useful cards in our hand, so let's go and use that N to get some new cards in our hand. Let's go and use that Flare Storm attack, and we are gonna get 3 heads. My goodness, we're getting really lucky with the flips, hitting our opponent's Medicham for 180 damage and then drawing onto an additional prize card. I think I'm probably gonna go and lay down this Blaziken EX onto our bench as well. I don't think our opponent's Hawlucha should be able to knock out our Blaziken EX unless we see a strong energy and a muscle band. We are already seeing the strong energy, so currently that Hawlucha can hit us for a massive 100 damage. The N lowering the number of cards in our hand, guys. And well, no, it looks like the opponent is not going to be able to draw onto that muscle band, so things are working out quite well for us, I would say. I'm going to go and attach the double colors energy onto that Blaziken EX. Let's go and make use of that Colress to get 6 new cards in our hand. We do have the Scorched Earth Stadium card, but I don't think we really need it right now. So yeah, I'm going to hold off on all these cards for now. I could potentially make use of Battle Compressor or the Computer Search during our next turn. So let's go and use Flare Storm and get a single heads. Again, we don't need to flip just because it's much more than enough damage to be able to knock out that Hawlucha in a single attack. Things are not looking good for our opponent. I mean, his Primal Groudon EX does not have a single energy card attached to it, and his Groudon EX doesn't either. Looks like Primal Groudon EX is going to be the Pokemon that we will be seeing out in the play. Unless we see a whole ton of Mega Turbos, there's absolutely no way that the opponent's Primal Groudon EX will be able to attack. We're seeing the Tool Retriever, a Groudon Spirit Link getting attached to our opponent's benched Groudon EX, and not really sure if the opponent will really be able to do anything else aside from possibly evolve his benched Groudon EX into a Primal Groudon EX. So things are definitely looking quite well for us. I mean, our Blaziken EX has a mere 10 HP remaining, but it's definitely making the most out of it, I would say. We're just getting some big knockouts one after the other. I mean, that Primal Groudon EX is unfortunately definitely going to be surviving, and we're seeing the opponent conceding the game. So I'm going to go and find ourselves another opponent, guys. Hopefully this time around it's going to last a little bit longer. But yeah, so that Blaziken EX is actually a pretty cool Pokemon. Looks like we're going to be facing some sort of Psychic-based deck, possibly just some Bats in combination with the Wobbuffet. I'm thinking is a definite possibility. The opponent is going to flip the tails, so we're going to start off first, and no Pokemon in our hand just yet. I'm not sure if I'd like to start off with the Blaziken as our active Pokemon right now. I think I'm gonna temporarily stick with the Reshiram and bring the Blaziken EX onto our bench. So let's go and start off with that Reshiram as our active Pokemon, lay that Blaziken EX down into our bench, and see what types of Psychic Pokemon our opponent will be using. Okay, it looks like we're going to be seeing the Shuppet. So if the opponent does evolve it into, I forgot what it was called, the evolution, its evolution, I'm sorry, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but its evolution form does prevent us from being able to evolve our Pokemon, I believe, if that's the one that he's running. I'm sorry, guys, I just can't remember it right now. So we're seeing a Zubat come out onto the opponent bench as well. The Dimension Valley Stadium card, allowing each of our opponent's Psychic type Pokemon to be able to attack for one less colorless energy. So I'm sure that's going to go a long way in our opponent's deck. And that Shuppet is its attack will get rid of the double colorless energy attached onto our Reshiram. So that's a little unfortunate, so I'm going to have to stick with simply attaching some fire energy cards for the time being. So let's go and attach one to our Reshiram, use that N to get some new cards in our hand. Let's go and lay down another Blaziken EX. I'm going to hold off on the computer search for now, but I could potentially make use of it during our next turn to draw onto a Blacksmith, which I could of course use, and then that would allow our Reshiram to get that one-hit knockout on the opponent's Pokemon. So yeah, there we go, Banette. That's the Pokemon that I was thinking. That Evolution Jammer can be pretty menacing, especially if we were running a lot of Evolution Pokemon. Luckily for us, though, our only Evolution Pokemon is the Pyroar, and I don't really see us making a whole lot use of it anyway. So Banette really shouldn't be all that difficult of a Pokemon for us to deal with. Alright, so let's see if he decides to use the Evolution Jammer attack or the Curse Deeply attack. I'd actually prefer to see the Curse Deeply attack, just because of course then our Reshiram would be able to hit our opponent's Banette for just the right amount of damage for us to get that knockout. But no, he has attached the other Psychic Energy. Well, actually, yeah, with the, my apologies, with the Dimension Valley, he could definitely still make use of the Curse Deeply attack. So let's see if that is what the opponent is going to do, or if he's going to make use of the Evolution Jammer attack instead. So looks like it is going to be the Curse Deeply. Alright, so our Reshiram will definitely be able to knock out the opponent's Banette during this turn. So let's go and use that computer search, guys. Get rid of 2 Fire Energy cards and look for the Blacksmith the Blacksmith Supporter card, which I'll of course be making use of to try and load up some of our benched some of our benched Blaziken EXs. So let's go and use that blacksmith, look for those 2 fire energy cards, and latch them onto a Blaziken EX. Let's go and use outrage, hit our opponent for just that magic 90 damage, and draw onto a prize card. Awesome. So I think things are looking pretty good for us right now. That Wobbuffet could be pretty menacing as well, just because its Psychic Assault is more powerful, of course depending on the number of damage counters on any one of our Pokemon. I definitely want to get rid of the opponent's Dimension Valley as well. I feel like that will be a pretty menacing sort of card in the long run, and of course it just allows the opponent's Psychic type Pokemon to be able to attack for much less energy cards. Looks like that Blaziken EX is going to get a couple of damage counters stacked onto it. The Restroom is probably going to get knocked out, so I feel like I'm probably going to use the VS Seeker again, just to make sure that we get rid of the opponent's Wobbuffet. We're seeing another Wobbuffet come out due to that repeat ball. So let's see if the opponent is going to end off their turn by using a supporter card as well. I'm not entirely sure they will. I mean, they're running Shaunas, so I feel like they're very reluctant to run any Junipers, because I feel like they're running a pretty heavy evolution sort of line, and they don't really want to be discarding all of those energy cards. So let's go and bring out all of those evolution Pokemon. So let's go and bring out the Blaziken EX as our active Pokemon. Use that VS Seeker. All we need is a single heads, guys, and then we'll be able to get rid of the opponent's Wobbuffet. Really hoping that we are able to get it. So let's go and attach those 2 fire energy cards onto the Blaziken EX. Use that Flare Storm attack. And 4 Tails, my goodness. I don't know what to say. 4 Tails, my god. This is not something that's ever happened to me before. I guess that's really why we need to make use of that Victini, guys. I probably should have used the Juniper instead, and then maybe I would have been able to draw onto a double colorless energy as well. So I'm sure the opponent is just very ecstatic right now. His Wobbuffet able to survive with a mere 10 HP remaining. I feel like that's just not fair, but what can I do about it? We're gonna get 4 Tails in a row. I don't even know what the probability of that is. What is it, like 6%? 6% chance of us getting 4 Tails in a row? Oh well, just something that I'm going to have to live with. Alright, so let's see what the opponent decides to do this time around. Looks like they are just taking a bit of time to decide what they would like to do, but I definitely don't think that they can get rid of our Blaziken EX in a single attack. I think they may have just disconnected. So yeah, looks like we're actually going to win the game, guys. Maybe? Or no, it's just another issue on PTCGO's end, the inactive opposing player issue. And then I'm pretty sure, okay, no, looks like the opponent is indeed going to quit. I mean, sometimes when that happens, we're unable to do anything either. But yeah, so I think that is going to be it, guys. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And I will see you guys next time.